Willie's back. Oh, yeah, Willie's back at noon today. In fact, he's going to be talking with Governor-elect John Kasich live at 106 right here on 700 WLW. So over the holidays, Katie Couric was doing a little web show. Katie Couric, the journalist who is supposed to be unbiased. You want to talk about people being unbiased? Listen, the problem with journalism is not that it's biased. In fact, newspapers, the founding of America, were all biased. The difference was they were open about their bias. You're not going to be completely unbiased because there are things you like and don't like. You may not like brunettes. It may only be slight. You may have a more of an appreciation of blondes or trust people who are short more, whatever it is. So when it comes to journalists, as we were talking about police officers having a bias, it comes down to your actions, being open and honest about it. Someone does wrong, punish them. If they screw up, punish them. But journalists like to pretend that they are unbiased, and they're not. They blast some news outlets for, oh, they're slanted, whatever. Meanwhile, they're biased as well. Katie Couric is the perfect example. She is a journalist and unbiased. Meanwhile, she shows a great bias. Oh, no, she'll pretend she doesn't. She does the nightly news on CBS and wants to pretend she's unbiased. But in a little webcast she had over the holidays, she decided to editorialize when it came to the mosque, the Ground Zero Mosque. They were going through all of the things that happened in 2010, the big news issues. She had a comedian on there with her, some guy who used to be on The Daily Show, which is bias. She had another lady on who was biased, and she editorialized about the mosque.
Sort of the chasm between, or the bigotry expressed against Muslims in this country has been one of the most disturbing stories to surface this year.
Yeah.
You know, of course, a lot of noise was made about the Islamic Center or mosque down near the World Trade Center, but I think there wasn't enough sort of careful analysis and evaluation of where this bigotry towards 1.5 billion Muslims worldwide, and how this seething hatred many people feel for all Muslims, which I think is so misdirected and so wrong and so disappointing.
And you know,
wait a minute. Where was the seething hatred of Muslims in America? Seething hatred? To me, that would be people marching in the streets with sign and spitting and yelling and screaming. Does that happen at mosques? Right now, mosques in America? Have you seen people targeting them, picketing them, saying you shouldn't exist? No, the Ground Zero Mosque had, special circumstances, and there were people that were vocal about it, but would you say that was a seething hatred? Well, the whole reason that people had a problem with the Ground Zero Mosque, and they have this seething hatred, as Katie Couric sees it, it comes down to you being stupid. You're just stupid. Yeah, you obviously are not smart enough to understand. If you simply knew Muslims more, if you knew them, if you were better educated, if you were around them, then you wouldn't have this seething hatred. Because, see, she's smarter than you. She has little square glasses, and she's on the news, and she works in New York. She's not part of the great unwashed masses between New York and L.A., as she once said. She's simply smarter than you. And here's her suggestion of how to educate you on Muslims.
Maybe we need a Muslim version of The Cosby Show.
it's interesting.
I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds crazy, but The Cosby Show did so much to change attitudes about African Americans in this country. And I think sometimes people are afraid of things they don't understand. Like you, Mo. Right. You know, you're saying you don't know that much of it, you're not afraid of it, but that you're sort of don't have enough knowledge about it. But maybe if it became more part of the popular culture.
Well, I think that religion should just be taught as an academic subject in public schools.
I
much
totally
more.
agree with you.
The fear of it, it's
wait a
so
minute, hold on. Katie Couric just said she's okay with religion being taught as an academic subject in school. These are the same people who come out in protest if religion is brought up at all at school. No, that's a public institution. You can't talk race. That may show your bias to somebody. A Muslim version of The Cosby Show. That's going to do it. I want, if only they had a Muslim version of the Cosby Show and a Jewish version of the Cosby Show shown in the Middle East all these years, we wouldn't have had all this trouble. Think about it. In Israel, if they had a Muslim version of the Cosby Show or the equivalent of, whatever a big 80s show was in Israel at the time, big 80s sitcom. Maybe I've been wrong about these Muslims. Maybe we've been wrong for these past thousands of years. And the same thing in Muslim countries, or primarily a Jewish version of it. Maybe we've been wrong about the Jews all these years, they'd say. A Muslim version of the Cosby Show. Interesting. Now, see, the problem is Cosby Show sucked. Have you watched any of it recently on the reruns? You see it on the cable channels? And horrible. It doesn't stand up to the test of time. Not at all. You probably need something more relevant. Or look at other really good shows. Yeah, at the time it was really successful. It doesn't hold up. What other shows? Instead of the Cosbys, or another one you could do. How about Mohammed with Children? How about a Western? Camel Train. Allah in the Family? The $6 million Imam? How about Mohammed Nye, the jihad guy? Then people could really get to know Muslims. They wouldn't have that deep, seething hatred. How about the hottest imam in America? Nip, tuck, decapitate. See? You just take some of the popular shows and put a Muslim slant on them. You can go classic. The Wild Wild West Bank. How about Sharia Law and Order? Oh, the Law and Order series is very popular. Sharia Law and Order. I think you got a winner there. Tehran RFD. Wow, that's like middle America then, out in the country. Tehran RFD. Hot in Kabul. Oh, sure, there'd be cartoons for the kids. There's plenty of cartoons. Teenage Muslim Ninja Terrorists. You got Where in the World is Osama bin Laden? I mean, that's a natural right there. I think I'd watch that one. Where in the world is Osama bin Laden? No. No SpongeBob, no Teletubbies, because we know they promote homosexuality. We know. Murder She Committed. Martyred with Children. How about one of the reality shows? You know how big those are right now, right? You got The Bachelor, Bachelorette, all of those. You could do a Muslim Bachelor. And the nice thing is it wouldn't be as mean as the current one because he could pick all of the women. Yeah, it's not just one and somebody gets disappointed. Oh, I've got a classic for you. You reach back into the 50s, classic Americana TV, and you go to I Love Lucy. How about that? Yeah. I Love Lucy. That's the one. CSI Atola? That's pretty good. Well, you can take off of that and do the NCISLAM. You got a couple here. You got Real Time with Bill Maher, the CBS Evening News, and Countdown with Keith Olbermann. No, nothing has to change on those. They're all three perfect just the way they are. You could do Taxi, then you wouldn't have to change anything anyway. Plenty of game show opportunities out there. No, Muslim versions of game shows. The classics. You could do the Family Fatwa Feud. Who Wants to Be a Martyr? Let's Make a Deal. Muslim Jeopardy with categories like alternative uses for aircraft, famous American infidels, all about Hamas. It starts with and goats. Those would be some of the categories. Alternative uses for aircraft, famous American infidels, all about Hamas. Starts with and the last category, goats. Muslim Jeopardy, I think it's a winner. It'll be big, big, big. How about Saddam 12? All of My Children? Sure, you get into the soap operas. It's Always Sunni in Philadelphia. There's a winner. Yeah, well, it brings in the humor then. America's Next Top Martyr. That'll be a big one. Mohammed in the middle shows the family dynamics of Muslims. Mohammed in the middle. Everybody loves Ramadan. Or everybody hates Christmas. Big ones. Those will be big. How about Fatwa Knows Best? Classic Americana. All right, I think I have what may be the perfect Muslim sitcom. The perfect Muslim sitcom. You got everything. It reaches back into classic Americana TV. It's perfect. Are you ready? Here's my suggestion for the best one. Petagoat Junction. Petagoat Junction will be big, I'm telling you. I put the list. It's not a complete list, but a lot of those possibilities, those names for Muslim TV shows in America at my blog, 700WLW.com. It's presented by the American Trading Company on Galbraith. In fact, I've sold them a gold ring. But most of them are up there. I'll put the rest of them up there as well. I mean, if you want to go through. I mean, these could be some good ideas for television shows. Things like Allah and Order. There's a lot of good ones out there. Clark in Indiana, you're on 700 WLW.
Well, Doc, appreciate you having me on. I've been listening to you since the first day. I've been in education for a long time, and you've been talking about this racial thing. I've probably seen more black racists in my 37 years than I have seen white racists. And all this political correctness, everyone has to do the politically correct thing. We can't mention this. We can't mention the Civil War. Oh, we can't bring up the fact that my dad was in World War II in the North Atlantic sinking U-boats because that might be sensitive to some people. We've got to get away from that stuff. We've got to get back to common sense.
I agree with you. I appreciate the call. Thank you. Cheryl Wilmington, you're next on 700 WLW.
Yeah, I just didn't like the TV shows that you just did.
What was wrong with them? You didn't think those were good suggestions?
No, I do not.
What was wrong? Do you have a better one?
Just poor taste.
What was poor? I was trying to come up with them. If she wants to do a Muslim version of the Cosby Show, I was coming up with other suggestions. She hung up. I just want to know what she is. Poor taste. I'm not the one who suggested it. I'm just trying to help out Katie Couric there, Regina in Bridgetown.
Yeah, I have to agree with, actually I agree with both of the previous callers. I agree that we have to come back to common sense. I agree that we're all too sensitive, that, the political correctness stuff has just gotten out of hand. But then I also agree with the lady right before me that, what Katie Couric said might have been silly, but it was mean-spirited. You took it too far. You took it a step too far.
It was mean-spirited? You just talked about being politically correct. We can't laugh at ourselves anymore, Regina?
Absolutely we can. But you went on an almost 10-minute rant over it, and I'm saying you took it a step too far. I'm not saying
what was too far? What was too far?
What you did was take the entire stereotype of Muslims, which I think you're smart enough to agree that not every Muslim fits into the negative stereotype that we have.
That is true, and not every stereotype is true.
Stereotype,
yes.
And put it into the context of your joke.
And
that's not okay.
And it's not okay to make stereotypical jokes anymore?
You know what? I'm probably going to have to say no. I agree that we're too sensitive, but you're making a joke at the expense of someone else. And when is that
That's
okay?
what all jokes are, Regina.
I think you're taking it a step too far.
All humor is based on making fun of somebody or a situation.
I can't disagree with that.
So what you don't like is the humor part of it. We're too politically correct. We're too sensitive, but we shouldn't joke. Let me give an example how ridiculous we've become with this. Many, many years ago, you could come on the radio and say anything racist. You could be as vicious and as racist as possible, and it was perfectly fine. But you couldn't even hint at a sexual joke. We've done a complete flip-flop of that. Now, I come on and make sexual references here and there, joke about it. Not a problem. But when it comes to race, you can't joke at all. Now, I can make certain sexual references and make a joke, but there's definitely a line. I could have somebody clinically come on here in a clinical setting and describe in painful detail different sexual acts because it was clinical. And that would be generally acceptable. I'm not going to get in trouble with the FCC. It's not inappropriate. But if I make a joke about it, then it's wrong. How is joking wrong? You got to get over it. You could say anything and worse that I just said with a list like that about me and anything I am or I hold dear, and I don't care. In fact, I'm able to laugh at myself. I think a lot of humor is funny. The Daily Show. I don't agree with a lot of their crackpot ideas, but I can laugh at it if it's funny. On one hand, we're too sensitive, and then you tell me, but that was too far. Wow. It's Doc Thompson, 700 WLW.